Govinda, Govinda.
Good morning, obeisance, Maharaj.
It looks like a quiet morning on Zoom.
Very quiet, yes, Maharaj. Vilamai Prabhu and Madhavilata.
Krishna, Krishna. Hey Govinda, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vas Adi Shri Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Well, not the best lighting, maybe. Ganga Leela Devirasi, Leela
Dandavats, Maharaj.
Dandavat. Jai Shrimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Now when we see your name, we're going to be remembering the auspicious Bhagavad Gita.
Wow. What did I do to deserve such honor?
You hosted the Bhagavad Gita talk.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Gangarila Didi. Sevarupa Devirasi, Dandavat. Jivana Devirasi. Dandavat. South Africa, 4 a.m., right?
Yes.
Okay. All good. Hare Krishna. Well, we're having a quiet morning on back to basics by the looks of it. Devam Divyatanam Satchandavadanam Balakachalantritam Sandrananda Puram Sadekavarnam Vairagya Vidyam Buddhim Shri Siddhantanidim Subhaktilasitam Sarasvatanambaram Vandetam Shubhadam Madhakesharanam Yashishwaram Sridharam Gurvabhista Supurakam Guru Ganaya Rashisha Shambhushitam Chintya Samasta Veda Nipunam Shri Rupa Pantanagam Govinda Vidhamutvalam Varatanam Bhaktyan Vitam Sundaram Vande Vishwa Gurum Charipya Bhagavat Premno Hi Bija Pradam Om Jnanatimrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gora Tvijay Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vas Adi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Dear devotees, in the meantime, welcome Prema Sindhu Prabhu, indeed Dandavat, to Priyananda Devidasi, and to Paramananda Prabhu, who've all joined us recently. And I hope I gave a welcome to Jivana Devidasi. I think I did. If not, I'm giving, if I did, I'm welcome. If I did, welcome for the second time, double welcome. And anyhow, double welcome. Hare Krishna. So here I am. Where am I? I'm in Ireland. The green and pleasant, no, England is the green and pleasant land, and Ireland is Emerald Isle. And it is green and pleasant, I have to say, coming from England, which was brown from no rain and heat, and coming from Italy before that, which was basically brown, but not as brown as England, interestingly, due to no rain and due to heat. That is the external world. But here we are here with the devotee family, with Devashish Prabhu, he's accompanying me, and with the devotee family in Wexford. And we had a sweet and very hearty evening program yesterday with devotees that we know on Zoom and not previously in person. So another example of how we are meeting each other, but have met many times, know each other, but we are here now in person. All right. I have been talking a lot these last few days. Now, who's been very quiet these last few days? I know Jeevan is always quiet. And I also know
our
Jeevan.
dear Paramananda Prabhu has been extremely quiet. And Maharaj, I'm waiting for Purushottam Prabhu because he has a pending question for you. So let's wait a little bit so that he's present.
Okay. So we're waiting, but we won't wait in silence while we are waiting for him. I know Paramananda, he's not been so quiet. He's always talking to devotees. I think Jeevana will win the quietness bracket because I may be wrong, but I think she lives at home, right? Well, everyone lives at home. Okay, I think she lives alone at home. Correct, Jeevana? So here's an opportunity.
But I do have the
So
bird.
here's with the birds. Okay, so here's an opportunity to speak to somebody. Here we are, we've entered your home. Please speak to us about Krishna consciousness, about back to the basics, the basis of Krishna consciousness.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm horrifically unqualified in spite of the fact that I've had so many opportunities. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes, I can.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm on a new device, so that's the story. But yeah, so I really offer my humble Dandavat pranams to all of you on this call who are so supremely qualified in every way and very tolerant of this really crazy person here. But so, oh, in that regard, then we have a nice sloka from Srila Rupa Goswami from the Prapana Jivanamrita. And it's in chapter 5, text number 18. And maybe Paramananda Prabhu even knows the Sanskrit for this one. But anyway, the translation from Srila Gurudev's, you know how he always gives in the Prapana Jivanamrita, he always gives a summary. He gives like the essence of the verse. Actually, what he gives is the essence, and the verse is to back up what he's said. So what Srila Guru Maharaj says here is that the cause of the Lord's protectiveness is his mercy alone. And then he has this verse by Srila Rupa Goswami that says, "O destroyer of sin, my heart is averse to a trace of devotion, and it burns in the fire of hopelessness when I hear about the incomparable, formidable devotional services rendered by the great predecessor devotees." So I thought that was really an amazing thought of Rupa Goswami. And then he goes on to say, "But now that I have heard about the wave of your mercy, which floods the universe, the core of my heart, sprinkled by a drop of hope, is soothed with cooling relief once again." Well, that's it. Jai Srila Rupa Goswami. But sometimes I do feel this way to, of course, a much smaller, tiny extent when I see all of you wonderful devotees doing so much service and having so much enthusiasm in devotional life and patience to pursue in spite of all the millions of difficulties that we encounter every single day and all the Kali Yuga influences that come to try and drag us out from our devotional life. And you were all like pillars of hope and beauty in the middle of all of this. That's what I
Hare Krishna.
read for today.
We can become hopeless and we can become hopeful. And when we read Srimad Bhagavatam and we read Srila Prabhupada's purports, sometimes when he said how we have to become pure, we have to become this, that, and the other, we can become hopeless. But when we read also other purports in Srimad Bhagavatam, and especially those when Mahaprabhu is saying about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to distribute what is love of God. By his grace, we can come to Krishna. And then when we read Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, then it is verse after verse after verse of the hopefulness by the wave of Mahaprabhu's mercy. And how does Mahaprabhu spread his mercy, Jivana, in particular?
In particular, by encouraging us always, by giving the holy name out and by giving the very simple process in Kali Yuga to connect with him. And by connecting with him and Lord Nityananda, we can connect with Radha and Krishna. But to think of Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya as you were saying, very hopeful. Is that what you mean?
Why I asked that?
Yes.
It wasn't a trick question. It was the question, and you've given the answer. But I also asked that a little bit because I do have the answer in front of me, and it is in front of me, and I'm not sure why it's in front of me. But these things happen. And Srila Gurudev is saying, our only necessity is to connect with the wave of devotion descending from the transcendental world through the Lord's holy name and offer ourselves for its purpose. This is Srila Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj. By chanting the Lord's holy name, his transcendental form will be revealed in our hearts. The Lord's name will firmly connect us with the Lord's Satchit Ananda Vigraha, his eternal, fully conscious, ecstatic form, which is seen and served by great souls like Brahma, Narad, and Veda Vyas. And then I have a quote, or Srila Gurudev has a quote from Rupa Goswami here too. So it's a Rupa Goswami morning today. Nikila Shruti Mauli Ratnamala, Jyoti Nirajita Pada Pankajanta, Ai Mukta Kulair Upasyamanam, Paritastvan Hari Nama Samshayami. O divine form, so this is the translation. O divine form of the holy name, your lotus feet are worshipped by the Vedas, Vedanta, Upanishads, Puranas, Srimad Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and all the other scriptures. All these scriptures, along with all the liberated souls, offer arati to your lotus feet. So this is used, the holy name. Please be merciful and give me your divine service. I fully surrender at your lotus feet. Hare Krishna. I can read some more if you want. A little more, okay. Srila Rupa Goswami glorified the holy name in this way And there are so many more verses in the scriptures about the Lord's name. Nothing anywhere compares with the position and power of the holy name. So no need to look. Okay, we've already heard it. Nothing anywhere compares with the position and power of the holy name. By chanting the Lord's name, our mood of devotion will increase. The illusory environment will leave us, and our feelings of transcendental ecstasy, charm, beauty, and love in our relationship with the Lord will increase in our heart. With those feelings, we will be unable to leave the association of the Lord's holy name and service. Thank you, Jivana. And in this regard, how the wave of the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, now we've heard of the wave of the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then we have so much hope, because we at least have one claim, that we are in the fallen soul department. And Srila Gurudev, we were reading elsewhere from Srila Gurudev, just maybe yesterday or the day before, but we read each day, but yesterday or the day before, a passage where Srila Gurudev is saying that already in the scriptures, there's the description of the holy name, the power of the holy name. The holy name is the very means, the only means in Kali Yuga for coming to the Lord. The Maha Mantra for Kali Yuga is given. All of these things are given already in the scripture. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and pointed these out, brought this to the forefront amongst all the things in the scripture of piety, impiety, and different grades of material things, but different grades of spiritual, actual spiritual practices too. Then the spiritual practice for Kali Yuga, the holy name. But Gurudev pointed out that already this was in the revealed scriptures, but it was revealed from the revealed scriptures by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So for those of you, none of you here, I think, but for those of you who may be listening in a recorded version, some of you may be thinking you like to be great pandits and learn Sanskrit and study all the subtleties and nuances of the Sanskrit language and become a master of Sanskrit. Then you'll be able to study the Vedas and study all sorts of things which are in the different departments of knowledge. But what will be the benefit? Because still we have to go to the self-realized soul. We have to go, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, to that person who knows what is truth. And from him we will get the understanding. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as the Lord himself, has come to give the whole world the understanding. And he was a genius as a teenager. I mean, if we just take as on a, an external level. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur does go through these different ways. Yes, we can accept at least everybody, dear public, accept that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a genius and a reformer and, so many things, undefeated in scripture, undefeated in logic, undefeated in all sorts of things. And what did that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu come and show us? He came to show us that very simply, the chanting of the holy name of the Lord is the conclusion in this age. This is what we're meant to do. This is what knowledge and study and everything else is meant for. So Mahaprabhu, he pointed out, he revealed what's already in the revealed scriptures, but fully applicable for us today. So we do meet devotees, and we met recently one who's like so much wants to learn Sanskrit and everything. But it is actually, well, number one, we're not going to become Sanskrit masters. We're going to be Sanskrit students forever. This is really a point. But the point too is that we have to learn Sanskrit in the Vaishnava conception and not in a dry philosophical conception or in a Mayavad, an impersonal conception. And as one of our friends did point out, if you do go to learn Sanskrit, it's generally you're going to be learning from those who are coming from the Shankarite school. So then what are you going to be taught from the beginning? You're going to be taught impersonal interpretations of expressions, of verbs, etc. But Mahaprabhu, he's done all the research, he's done everything for us. So now we have hope that we can't do all those penances and all those services that the great rishis and devotees did in previous ages, but we can do the chanting of the holy name of the Lord as given to us by Mahaprabhu. And Prapana Jivanamritam is so hopeful for us. It's our eternal book for reading. Whatever else we read, try to read Prapana Jivanamritam as well every day, a verse or two with the aphorisms. And many of you, or all of you, or some of you know that in English, the first edition of the Prapana Jivanamritam was done by a scholarly devotee. But he didn't include Guru Maharaj's aphorisms, the introductions, what Guru Maharaj is saying, and then supporting it with a verse, as Jivana pointed out. He didn't put those in there. And both Guru Maharaj and Gurudev were disappointed with that book. And hence the necessity for it to be republished in English, the full edition. And the book, as Jivana pointed out, the book is Guru Maharaj explaining this word ontology that I only heard from Guru Maharaj, this word ontology, the step-by-step progress of each of the departments of surrender. Guru Maharaj is explaining that in the aphorisms, what's coming before the verse. But as happens in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Guru Maharaj is saying something and then showing the verse. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Mahaprabhu is often speaking, for instance, to Rupa Goswami, to Sanatana Goswami, in his instructions to them, in so many places. He's giving direction. He's saying as we are talking, and then he gives the Sanskrit reference or the reference from the Vedas for that. So this is what Guru Maharaj is doing in the Prapana Jivanamritam. It's Guru Maharaj's explanation of the limbs of surrender and full surrender, and then quotes from the Supreme Lord himself about surrender. So a spotlight from a devotee, Mahaprabhu, the best devotee, Mahaprabhu, from a spotlight from all the scriptures of what is the conclusion. And today a spotlight from a devotee to Prapana Jivanamritam, what we should be reading, and within Prapana Jivanamritam, a spotlight to a very hopeful verse. Thank you, Jivana. Hare Krishna. Nadia Priya Devirasi joined us from Ukraine. Welcome, Jayadev Prabhu. Dana came, Sundari, and a saffron-clad devotee here, Shripad Dandi Maharaj joined us. And the cow, that's Ekadashi. Ekadashi is not the same master, associate. Ekadashi's affectionate, strong associate. I saw how big we're thinking that Davali, the cow, is small, but I saw a little video clip the other day with Ekadashi and the cow, and that cow is quite a large cow by now. Yes. So now, Paramananda Prabhu, over to you. Prapana Jivanamritam, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the holy name. Krishna consciousness. So Prapana Jivanamritam. Hare Krishna.
This Jivana started it all. And I know the verse, but I don't remember it by heart, Jivana. But there are a few verses around it. It's like a garlanding this verse. So really difficult to not to read them. And it's pretty much the end of the chapter, I think. Almost the end of the chapter, yes. But there's one beautiful verse. Vivita vividabadi rantive gartagati ballavati bhavapure majate me vidure asharana ganabandhu ha kripa komudindo sakrita krita valambam dehi hasta valambam. Rupa Goswami. I'm drowning and, okay, the only shelter for the shelterless, which is Nirashrayanam Ivaikishraya. The only shelter for the shelterless. I'm drowning in some remote region of a fathomless, treacherous ocean, the vast sea of frustration, swept by the tide of hallucination. O friend of the shelterless, O benediction moon, please, just once, now, lend me your helping hand. But then you want to read another one, which is also beautiful. Yadropadi paritrane yoga jendrasya mokshani mayarte karunamurte satvara kwagatahare. The devotee who needs immediate protection has full faith that the Lord will come to his aid. And the verse is absolutely beautiful. Well, and thanks to Sagar Maharaj for putting it in a very, what would you say, Maharaj, English?
What would I say about?
Proper English, let's just say, or literally English.
Literally English, yes.
Or compassion incarnate. Now I am in danger. O Lord Hari, where is that urgency you showed in delivering Draupadi and liberating Gajendra? So that is the prayer, and these two are so similar in a way. So devotees want immediate relief, and the only hope for the immediate relief from the situation we're in is to surrender to the Lord. It's not to demand him to come and surrender to you, to your desires, but surrender first. It always comes in the beginning. And then, okay, last one, Maharaj, really. It's almost the end.
You can have as many as you like.
Hahanta chitta bhuvime paramo sarayam sad bhaktikal palatikam kuritam katam chat vid ekam eva paramasvasaniyam asti chaitanya nama kalayam nakadapi satchat. And that's Prabodhananda Saraswati, of course, very recognizable. And Srila Gurudev points out that their verses are practically identical. Their devotional skill, their heart resonates on the same frequency. That was more or less Gurudev's explanation. So when he read Prabodhananda verses, Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur's verses, and Rupa Goswami verses, Srila Govinda Maharaj said, for a long time, I taught the Rupa Goswami verses. So he was very qualified devotee during the time of Mahaprabhu, who stepped back when Mahaprabhu promoted Rupa Goswami. And here is his verse from Chaitanya Chandramritam, a beautiful composition of wonderful verses glorifying Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Alas, alas, okay, the supreme magnanimity of the Supreme Lord Sri Chaitanya Dev. Alas, alas, how will the charming, wish-fulfilling creeper of pure devotion ever sprout from the desperately barren plains of my consciousness? Despite my predicament, just one great hope awakens in my heart. By chanting the name of Sri Chaitanya Deva, nothing can remain to be lamented for by anyone at any time. I will stop here, but we can go on because there's a beautiful verse next, and that will be Janadi Vartma Viruchim or Janata Bhakti. Beautiful verses, but let's just stop here. And
Why? Give us one
Okay,
more
last
verse. You've
one.
already started it.
Janadi Vartma Viruchim Brajanata Bhakti Ritim Naveid Menachasad Guravo Milanti Handa Handa Mamaka Sharanam Vimuddha Goro Harish Tavadakarna Patangatosti. I know, and the title is Shri Gaur Hari is the savior of even those bereft of any method of approach. Who is he speaking about? Myself. No, those who are bereft of any method of approach. That sounds like myself.
No. It sounds like me. You're wrong, Paramanandu. Sorry, I have to
Just like
you.
me and Madhusudan Maharaj. Okay, let's just stop there. I know not the way of love of Shri Vrindavan, which breeds disloyalty to wisdom and the world, nor do teachers. To whom shall I surrender? Where shall I go? O foolish fellow, you cannot have heard about the golden Lord, Shri Gauranga Mahaprabhu. And that verse also belongs to Shri Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur.
And how could you not recite that verse, Paramanandu? How did you hesitate to recite that verse?
I know, and that ends the 5th chapter. Confidence in the Lord's protection, words of nectar from the devotees, in life nectar of the surrendered souls, positive and progressive immortality. I mean, what can I say? Every verse is in the middle and surrounding verses is a garland. And then you take another verse, it will take the same position. So Guru Maharaj, he weaved this fabric of pure devotion in the form of Prapana Jivanamrita. And really, this is the true nectar for the surrendered souls. But to fully enjoy that nectar, actually have to really, actually become a surrendered soul. But even to a non-surrendered soul, like myself, it is attractive. So what to speak of one who is really surrendered? And so many beautiful feedbacks about Prapana Jivanamrita. I actually can hardly imagine living without it. After you come in touch with it, it's impossible to think of not reading it or not living it, having Prapana Jivanamrita nearby, especially in this beautiful edition. And not to have it on the altar too. And I have to tell to everyone that Madhusudan Maharaj's altar that he worshipped to when he was in Navadvip included a beautiful Prapana Jivanamrita. And I don't know why there was 10 rupees, like there's 10 rupees inside. He says, just in case, but what can you buy?
I know
for
why
10
there's
rupees?
10 rupees inside. Yeah.
I mean, what can you buy for a 10 rupee, Maharaj? Maybe then it was possible.
Two things. One is a bus ticket to somewhere. I mean, you've got some transport, and another is a phone call. So for 10 rupees, at least if I had Prapana Jivanamrita with me, then I had the Prapana Jivanamrita, and at least I'd have some emergency backup money. You know, so
I know somebody
for a phone call or something like that. Yeah. It shows actually it shows my lack of faith, because really we only need Prapana Jivanamrita. But on the practical side, oh no, you see, that's my lack of faith, because we shouldn't even think about, oh, on the practical side, I also had 10 rupees inside it. And by the way, there is still 10 rupees inside that. You didn't spend that 10 rupees, Paramanandu, did you?
I wouldn't even know on what, and I have to disagree. It actually shows a great degree of surrender, because if it was me, I would probably put 2 500 rupees bills in it. But one who puts a 10 rupee bill, and let's say he's somewhere in between Nepal, Kathmandu, and Navadvip, and thinking that it will get him back to Navadvip somehow, that is a surrendered soul in my world.
Hare Krishna.
And the last thing I want to say, Maharaj, on the Sanskrit subject, like, yes, I mean, really, we've been warned about it so many times by Srila Gurudev. And it's frankly saying, it's a trap. And it's a trap from which very few have returned or get out. In fact, I don't know anyone who did, to be frank, but theoretically it is possible because Vivritali Vidabadhi, Branti Vega, the God, there is this verse. So there's another verse on that subject we can illustrate. Aham viti shukho with me, vyasavitona vetiva. Lord Shiva is saying, I know. Shuka knows. Vyas, he may know or he may not. And who is Vyas? We can all agree that he is a great Sanskritan. Probably the source of the Sanskrit grammar and everything else to do with the Sanskrit on this plane that we're living in. So that's Vyasadeva. So why Shiva is saying that? Why is he doubting it? Because to know the Sanskrit, even to reveal all the scriptures, they're coming to you by the grace of the Lord. In fact, the sound of the flute, and that's where what we're going to discuss, what Madhusudana Maharaj will discuss in that connection with the Purushottam Prabhu's question. The sound of Krishna's flute inspires everything. So it all sprouts from the heart of Vyasadeva on the pages of palm manuscripts. That's his seva, he is doing that. But why is he sitting in the assembly with all the other rishis and munis and listening to his son, Shukadeva Goswami? That's a good question to ask. And Narada Muni is next to him, his spiritual master. He's also listening to Shukadeva Goswami with full attention. Because what is in Srimad Bhagavatam was revealed to them fully. And in fact, you know Sanskrit, you don't know Sanskrit, it doesn't matter. It's not something that can force that revelation or attract the mercy of the Lord, grace of the Lord. So actually, I have to say, and Gurudev, this is Gurudev's words, absolutely unnecessary for the devotees. And in some instances, Srila Govinda Maharaj would add, just to be fair, those devotees who are fully engaged, are qualified and fully engaged in preaching activities, they may know some Sanskrit, meaning verses we have to quote to actually be able to answer the challenges. But again, that mostly important for Indian environment. We don't have many philosophical shloka Vedic challenges coming from the Western environment. Even that, it's good to know for yourself because they may inspire you, but really you don't really need that so much. So unless there's a service necessity, so Shri pointed out, unless there's service necessity for something, we shouldn't be interested in acquiring that. But if there is a service necessity, then everything will be supplied to us. And that is a proper mood. In fact, anything whimsical we do probably have nothing to do with devotion, or very little to do with devotion. But if it's ordered by a Vaishnava, ordered by a guru, one way or another, it came to us as some kind of a revelation, inspiration in our heart to do that, but it has to be traced from Vaishnava side, guru side. Then it has the value. Otherwise, we can whimsically create all sorts of things we would like to do and become this and become that, offer this and that, publish this and that. It will have a little value at the end. I will shut up now, Maharaj.
Oh no, there's going to be silence. Actually, silence is also good for us to digest what we hear. This world, generally everyone's encouraged to not have silence. Come home, turn on the TV. Even by remote control, before you get in the house, you can turn on the TV. All these things. We have seen some quite smart houses in our, recent before the COVID time, quite smart houses that open without you doing anything. It opens the gate, opens the door, turns on the TV, has the kettle boiling. This is the house. Anyway, some silence is always good, but I can also break the silence a little bit, because I have here what I wanted to read too, which is all on this theme of the mercy of Mahaprabhu, the mercy of Mahaprabhu to everybody, the hopefulness. And here I'm just going to read a tiny part. It is Srila Gurudev still. We like to read from Srila Gurudev and Srila Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada, but this is Srila Gurudev too, simply because this is what we've been reading day by day. So short, very short, but this is Gurudev's words, which are always the best words. For what I was explaining just a little bit earlier about already in the revealed scriptures is given about the conclusion for this age. And here's Gurudev himself expressing. Okay, so in the upper, okay, so I'll read Gurudev's. Consorthood, paramo love. I'll say consorthood, paramo love. So many things are there. So Gurudev is talking about Goloka Vrindavan, are there that here sometimes give us so much pain. So, you know, okay, we don't need any purport there, I suppose. But there, they give only happiness. There is no place for pain there. There is no place for pain there. Only when the play of the Lord necessitates it, some deficiency may come, but that is only existing with the play. This is capital P. And by the way, why is Gurudev using the word play rather than Leela? Because he's talking to completely new people and he's explaining to them the beauty of Krishna consciousness to new people. So he's mentioning play rather than Leela, and he's using that word. But okay, so next. That knowledge will be revealed in our hearts if we will try to search, try to proceed. If we sincerely try to get that, we can. This is the gift of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this is coming to that searching tendency. We have to wake up that searching tendency. With that woken up, Mahaprabhu, remember, the Lord's loving search for the lost servant. And we all are heart captured by that picture of the embrace of Krishna and Gopakumar. But Krishna, in his search for the lost servant capacity, who is that? That's Krishna as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is the gift of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we need to just wake up that desire to search. And he wants us to search. It's like the father has lost the children, and now we see all the children. Instead of being averse and leaving home, they're now searching for their home. And Krishna, he's quite smart. He knows what everybody wants. And so when he sees the lost children searching for their home again, waking up their search, then from his side, doing so much. Okay, but then a little bit more. Srila Gurudev's words. Before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave it to us, we did not know the process, even though it is written in the scriptures. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu discovered it and gave it to us, saying, you see, this is your process, and it is the easiest process. By Mahaprabhu's grace, we can understand that. He said, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Eva Kevalam, Kalam Nastyeva, Nastyeva, Nastyeva Gati Ranyata. And then he's not translating as such, but he's continuing to speak, Gurudev is speaking. It is not necessary to collect an ocean of knowledge from the scriptures. The only necessity is your chastity and faith in the divine name of the Lord. And then why? Some people, and Gurudev is, already he's saying why? Because he's speaking also to new people, and new people, they'll be saying why. Of course, none of us would say why, would we? We say, yes, that's wonderful. Okay, but here's Gurudev saying why. Why? some reasons have been given that we can easily understand. And then actually now you see Gurudev is going to give some, okay, wise solution. But it is this part. And when I read this, which is, we've also heard, but Gurudev also putting here, after all this, saying the only necessity is your chastity and faith in the divine name of the Lord. And this expression of chastity and faith, Gurudev is using this in many places. Chastity, sincerity, our faith, and in similar expressions. And he uses it in so many places. And sometimes we are like here, giving a quote in one place, but it's almost like this Trinadapi Sunichana verse, where Gurudev is always stressing humility, tolerance, giving honor to others, not wanting honor for oneself, and to chant the holy name always. We associate that verse with Gurudev because he repeated it so often and repeated it ever freshly so often, pushing into our heart, trying to get us to accept this in our heart. But this chastity and faith expression in this and similar ways, then this is also very much the hallmark of Gurudev. Really, he's emphasizing this everywhere, including his will. Including in his will. This is the emphasis, this is the necessity. The holy name, good association, chastity and faith. Hare Krishna.
Maharaj,
So
may I squeak?
Sorry?
May I make a squeak?
May you make a squeak.
You just reminded a conversation that actually I had with Srila Govinda Maharaj on that particular subject, when he's asking me to describe qualities of one devotee and see if he's qualified for some important seva. It was a little bit challenging to me because I know that devotees kind of, misbehaving on many points there. So, and I was just trying to be as impartial as possible, just pointing those things. And Govinda Maharaj is sitting and listening to me. And then he's asking, so Prabhu, what do you think? Is he qualified? And I'm like scratching my head. I'm not Gurudev. Well, considering all that I just mentioned, maybe not so. He said, you're right. But not considering the points you have mentioned. His main disqualification, and really it was like intoxications, this and that, so some external things that are. And then he said, those things you mentioned, I don't really care so much about. So many of my disciples are misbehaving. But what I require for my true disciple is, and he repeated, I require loyalty and chastity to me. Everything else will come in time. They will be purified in the due of time. Really, it will happen at some point. But this is the main qualification for one who aspires to be my disciple or want to be my disciple. Chastity and loyalty to me. And then he went on, why? Because I'm looking at him and I'm not understanding him. He's thinking, I'm probably thinking, oh, Govinda Maharaj is, playing big and trying to say how big and he is in the world of Vaishnavism. And then Govinda Maharaj noticed that and he said, because of Guru Maharaj, I know who he is. And by his mercy, they will get liberation. They will get free of those things and they will go back to Godhead. Really the beautiful conversation. He pointed out that this is two main requirements for my disciples or aspiring disciples. Everything else was secondary, in fact, unimportant. Not that we have to, maintain those habits. I'm not saying that.
Yes, we have heard many times. And this, and also this brings up a third, like continuous living repetition of of Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj, of this. Why? Because of Guru Maharaj, the connection with Guru Maharaj. Any service anybody has done for Guru Maharaj, and what is service to him is service to Guru Maharaj. He's giving everything to Guru Maharaj. And he said, anyone who's done anything in that connection, then I know their future is so bright. They will be successful one day or another. That connection has already begun. And that is also very repeated. It's Guru Maharaj at the center. And that's what he wants everyone to do. Like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, at first I came one voice to give Mahaprabhu's message. And now gradually, now so many have come, and now with 100 voices all over India, that message is being broadcast. And Gurudev practically is like this. With one voice, he's coming to say about who is Guru Maharaj, the glories of Guru Maharaj. And then he's spreading that around the world through the devotees and through the chastity and faith of those whose candle has been lit. One candle needs to be lit from another candle. Candle cannot sit there and make itself into a candle, however much it wants to be a candle. So Gurudev, we have a third big emphasis of Gurudev, which is this one, that anything you do for the service of Guru Maharaj, that is eternal. And how to do that service? Through Gurudev. Hare Krishna. Anyway, this wonderful world we've come in touch with. And if we hear any statements like we heard just now from Paramananda Guru, please, if you hear devotees trying to misuse such statements, for giving allowance for their bad habits, and then not only that, sometimes we see, as one sweet devotee said, misery likes company. So somebody with a bad habit likes to draw others into their bad habit and say, oh, Gurudev said it's not so important. So you can, not necessary. That we've seen, unfortunately, excuses, and the mind, Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita something very interesting. He says, the mind can be your worst enemy, as well as the mind can be your best friend. So when we do hear these, absolutely pure, absolutely generous comments of Gurudev then, and of Guru Maharaj too, then we must take it all in proper context and not as an excuse, so our mind catches that point and then gives an allowance for our foolish behavior. And on another side, as intoxication is directly mentioned there, then Guru Maharaj told that intoxication, it is damaging faith. So what are we trying to do is protect our faith. But even in that plane where our faith is definitely liable to be damaged through intoxication, reliance on artificial means, then even in that dangerous position, then we can be rescued by faith and chastity. And by regret, also Prapanajivanamrita comes to our encouragement, saying those who can't abandon their material attachments, but still they go on, then they will get success in life. But regret, what is the mood of the devotee? Oh, I regret. I don't want to, but it is happening. Very recently, and I was asked directly the question about, where we're born. If somebody is born as an Eskimo, somebody is born as an Indian, somebody is born as wherever it may be, in the jungles of Africa, New York City. But the question was actually about Eskimo, and it's a sincere question. And I said, what will be, and so the question was like, what will be for them? Because they're eating 100% meat diet, basically. And then I told directly how one day we're sitting with Gurudev, and Gurudev having the TV on is different from others having the TV on. Gurudev had the TV on, and he was very aloof to everything, but sometimes he's trying to give himself some peace and quiet. And one of our dear devotees, his name will remain secret, but it was Shruta Shrava Prabhu, and who became Vaishnava. And he said to me one day, he said that, and Shruta Shrava, he maybe listens to some popular music sometimes and things like that. And but he said to me, he said, I'm going a bit deaf, but he said, it's not from listening to rock and roll music, it's to being on the veranda with Gurudev with the television on. Because Gurudev was sometimes devotees asking, and he would turn up the volume so loud, because, this is his Leela, and please take this in an affectionate way, because really, this is his Gurudev, also part of his transcendental humor, affectionate Leela. But sometimes the sweet, innocent devotees don't know when to just give Gurudev some peace. Every moment asking Gurudev this, asking him that, telling him this, telling him that. Gurudev needs some privacy, but he doesn't take privacy. He doesn't go, say, no, you can't come on my veranda kind of thing. So devotees will be sitting there. But then he turned the TV on loud sometimes, and quite loud, so that the devotees basically can't ask any question. And Gurudev aloof. But one day it's showing some documentary thing about the Eskimos. And Eskimos, it's amazing what they make out of reindeer meat. They make all sorts of things, including bread and including sweets. Don't ask me how, and please don't send in requests for recipes. But they kind of use the reindeer meat for all sorts of edibles, as well as all sorts of things for living, like coats and jackets and hats and all sorts of things. And Gurudev sitting there quite aloof from everything, and he's looking and he said, we can give Harinam to them. We can give them Harinam. Like that. So, that's the food that's been allocated to them according to their birth. A cow eats grass, a lion eats deer, whatever it may be. So the Eskimo eats reindeer and fish, whatever else. And Gurudev said, we can give Harinam to them. But he didn't then go on to include the Gayatri part, which, we know is a little bit of a different category. But if someone is in that category, but then you see the danger is that those who are addicted to meat, fish, and eggs, then hearing only like part of the story or their mind, then hearing the whole story and still picking up on that, eat meat and chant Hare Krishna is okay. Then, we know that's suicidal. It's very misuse of the plane of mercy. So we must take everything in context. But Gurudev, on other occasions, also saying, but it is the case. And quoting Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sava Shakti Trapita Niyamita Smaranena Kavaha Tadrishi Tava Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi Dudaivam Idrisham Vihajani Nanurava. No hard and fast rules for chanting. If you've got a little faith, you chant. But that's the gift of Mahaprabhu. But my misfortune is I have no taste for the chanting of the Lord's holy name.
Raj, a humorous story reminded about the Eskimo. I was once Govinda Maharaj, in the morning he wakes up, he goes out of his room, he sits down, and he looks at the correspondence, and mostly it's photographs that devotees, photo reports they're sending from different places. So that time, the Shrava Prabhu was in Siberia. So he said, Prabhu, look, this is our Shuta Shah Prabhu. He said with so much love, and really my heart was melted just to hear these words. And we're looking at different photos, and Shuta is there, all dressed up and looking like a snowman. Really, it's super cold. And he's asking me, Prabhu, have you been to Siberia? I said, yes, Gurudev. I actually went further where it's super cold, like the polar circle. And he looks at me and said, what did you wear? And I was like hesitating to say, because really what I wore, and because nothing else worked, really, we tried, it didn't. So the dog skins was the only thing that worked. The shoes, very tall shoes made from dog skin, the hat of dog skin, the jacket made of dog skin. And it was to be kept hush-hush. Our temple president kind of gave us this allowance, and we kept it secret. We didn't really spread so much of a dog fur fashion around ISKCON society at that time. But then I said, Gurudev, I actually wore dog skin. He said, Baba, you wore dog skin. I said, Gurudev, does it make me a chandal? He smiled. He said, no, Prabhu, you have no caste whatsoever, so don't worry. So the chandal have some positions in the Vedic society. For myself, he was pointing out, I have no position there. I'm totally outcast. The chandal is in a higher position than me. You don't have to worry. It wouldn't contaminate you more than you're already contaminated. But he was very amused to hear that we actually wore the dog skins.
It was probably husky skin, right?
Well, Maharaj, I cannot say. I can only say it was some kind of a brownish, light brownish, orangey kind of dog.
Okay.
May his soul rest in peace. And I wore quite a few dogs on me.
Float upwards and upwards to the land of not only peace, but joy.
But here is Yukta Vairagya.
Yes, practical use. And actually knowingly or unknowingly for a lot of things, we're all using animal products or benefiting from kind of various animal things, but we don't know it. I didn't know okay, I won't say some things, otherwise we may start devotees stopping taking some things which Guru basically said. So we still will take. But many things which we think are quite innocent in the world, they've been processed by use of animal products. Okay, dear devotees, on this dog skin point.
Maharaj, before you go, please check the chat, please.
Check the chat. Oh my goodness. 9 messages in the chat. Priyananda, so this is from early on, more on topic of hopelessness. Oh, still Priyananda. A devotee of the Lord naturally considers himself to be lowly. Oh, so this is this is from Prapanajivanamritam too, I believe. And never does he consider himself a devotee. Right. So then, oh Jadavendra, when I think of your name, Dina Bandhu, friend of the fallen, I, who am a fallen, feel encouraged. But hearing that you are Bhakta Vatsala, affectionate to the devotees, my heart suddenly trembles, because feeling not themselves a devotee. This is Prapanajivanamrita, first Guru Maharaj's expression and his support from the scripture. Paramananda Prabhu, Herab is the answer. What's Herab? I don't know what's happening here.
It's not related to Priyananda's post though. You were reading Srila Govinda Maharaj. That was the comment.
What does Herab mean? What's Herab?
Here, Maharaj, here is the mistype.
Here
is
the type.
Oh, okay. Paramananda, well, he answered half of the questions now about Harinam and Gayatri. I think it was. Not true. Lots of flowers and beautiful things and a question mark. I never know what the question mark is meant to be, but there we are. from Dana, but I know it's a question mark that my computer is not showing. Maybe the phone will show it properly. Thank you, Dana K, and welcome. That's from Praneshwari and from me and from all of us. And Praneshwari, the verse that Jivana read, Prapanji 518, has a reference to an end note. Tunde Tandavini, okay, this verse, Chaitanya Charitamrita, quote, when they dance in my mouth, they produce the desire for countless mouths. When they enter my ears, they produce the desire for billions of ears. When they appear in the courtyard of the heart of my heart, they take control of all my senses. I do not know how much nectar is produced by the two syllables, Krishna. Wonderful things. This is our back to basics. This is our line, the very basis. Mahaprabhu's mercy distributed through his holy name, distributed through those who got his holy name, distributed by the Vaishnavas. And the Vaishnava that Gurudev always brings us to, Guru Maharaj, Guru Maharaj, Guru Maharaj, for a very super reason, the super connection. Let us keep our attention, focus, service always in this channel. And be humble, tolerant, give honor to others, and be sincere and chaste, faithful and chaste. This is our mini summary of actually quite a lot of points today. And Rupa Nugapu just joined us. Maybe in the wrong time zone, Rupa Nugapu, we're just wrapping up, but you got this.
I know. The time zone, I have to blame it on the time zone.
Yeah, blame it on the time zone. Hare Krishna. Okay, dear devotees, here and online, and the devotees online. I know Michael Madhava I saw, and Seva Rupa Devidasi in Mexico. Much appreciated your messages and everybody's obeisances to you all. Mathura Basin, Anukul Chandru, Kate Kulash, Kate, and
Gaurangi, Swarnangi, Didi in Sokel, and Rasananda Prabhu.
okay, you see more than I do. Praneshwari has special vision. She can see more. I can only see so many. So to each of you, appreciating all the messages and obeisances, which are for everybody, no doubt, and our obeisances to each other, and to Chipadandi Maharaj. And Chipadandi Maharaj being very humble and quiet today in his devotional presence with us. So dear devotees,
Jai Shri Bhaktiranjan Matsur Maharaj ki Jai.
oh Leela Moy Prabhu, oh dear. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gurudev Om Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Guru Maharaj Srila Bhakti Rapak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki Jai. Shri Rupa Yoga Guru Vaga ki Jai. Jai Saprashad Shriman Mahaprabhu ki Jai. Navadeep deities, let us always keep them in our heart and mind. Shri Guru Saparika, Shri Guru Gauranga Gandhava Govinda Sundar Ji ki Jai. And Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat of Gurudev and Guru Maharaj, Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat ki Jai. And Jai Shri Navadeep Dham ki Jai. Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Jai Vishwarinya, worldwide worshipable. Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. All the present day representatives, distributors, preachers, and practices of Mahaprabhu's message coming through Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Acharya Brinda ki Jai. Jai. All the assembled devotees ki Jai. All the worldwide devotees ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Shri Dandi Maharaj ki jai, Shri Paramanand Prabhu ki jai, Jeevan Devinasi ki jai, all our senior devotees, all the devotees present with us, Swanangi Devirasi ki jai. I mean, all of our revered devotees present and who may see later, and the worldwide, all devotees ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi.
Hari Bol.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat Pranam. And
Thank you
Nadia,
so much, Maharaj. Thank
Hare
you
Krishna.
very much. Thank you.
Dhanyavad Maharaj. Dhanyavad.